Hey, everybody. You are about to hear a brief retelling of the movie The Happening. Enjoy the movie. People are having a good time at Central Park on this beautiful morning in New York. Abruptly, the throng starts acting strangely. People start walking backwards, freeze motion in the middle of the road, or repeat phrases. Some people start yelling at that point, and a woman sitting on a bench observes as her buddy mumbles the same thing a few times before snatching her hairpin and instantly self-deleting. A corpse unexpectedly falls near to a group of construction workers who are enjoying a break downtown. The others initially believe it was an accident, but then they witness another body fall, and as they glance up, they see that every employee on the higher levels has also started to self-delete. They all die one after the other, their expressions emotionless and expressionless. Elliot, the science teacher, is in the midst of presenting his class about the period when millions of bees vanished nationwide. Elliot concurs with the student's assertion that there will always be phenomena beyond the realm of science and that we will never fully comprehend. When Elliot gets summoned to an emergency staff meeting, the other students' excited discussion of unusual happenings is cut short. Elliot peeks into other classrooms on his approach to the main hall, where he observes students being startled by something on their phones. After the entire staff has come, the principal informs them that the city is under emergency conditions because, allegedly, some terrorists have unleashed a strange chemical in Central Park that causes people to commit suicide. The entire city has canceled lessons as a result of this. After that, the teachers go back to their classes and let the pupils go for the day. Elliot departs with Julian, his closest friend and fellow educator, whose mother, despite being in Philadelphia, is a crazy caller and has instructed Julian to bring his family over. When Julian and his wife Alma are invited as well, Julian acknowledges to Alma that she has been acting aloof recently. Elliot's wife Alma is anxious at home as she continues receiving calls from Joey, whom she prefers not to speak with. She puts her phone away and turns on the TV to see how many people are continuing to die in the region and how New York is being evaluated. Elliot soon shows up, and the two of them pack to leave the city. After arriving at the train station, the pair sees Julian and his daughter Jess. His wife is taking the following train since she was caught in traffic in Princeton. A correspondent for the station reports on TV that autopsy have shown the poison to be a naturally occurring substance. Alma becomes upset when Julian makes a remark about the couple's marital difficulties because she doesn't want their private information to be made public in that way. In the meantime, a police officer in Philadelphia's Rittenhouse Park is making every effort to control a traffic bottleneck. The majority of people abruptly freeze as the wind blows through the park's trees, and the police officer takes his pistol and self-destructs. Subsequently, the cabbie exits, grabs the firearm, and proceeds in the same manner. A lady then picks up the gun and uses it to terminate the situation. Returning to Elliot's group, they are traveling by train when Alma eventually answers Joey's phone and tells him to stop contacting her because their dessert sharing was insignificant. Joey informs her that the incident is also occurring in Philadelphia at that point, and most people soon begin receiving calls from friends and family informing them that other cities, including Boston, have also been affected. When the train finally stops in Pennsylvania, the staff tells the passengers that this is the last stop before all rail services are terminated. Additionally, they are unable to assist as they have lost all communication. The group settles inside a diner as there is a little rural village close by. A video of a guy entering a lion cage and being murdered by the animals is sent to a woman by the Philadelphia Zoo. Reporters on television declare that the notion of a terrorist assault has been reclaimed by the administration. The incident is starting in the Northeast and moving through smaller communities. Everyone scrambles to get in their cars and flees as the electricity goes off at that very time, terrifying everyone. When Elliot and Alma try to plead for assistance, no one will listen to them. Luckily, an elderly couple who own a plant nursery extends an invitation for them to join them, so Elliot and Alma give Julian a call. Julian, however, wants to find his wife because he lost contact with her. He leaves Jess with Elliot and Alma and departs with a family to Princeton. Shortly after, when the couple returns home to fetch supplies, the husband confides in Elliot that he believes the plants are the ones dispersing the poisons that are killing people. As Julian's crew arrives at Princeton, they find that the region has also been affected. The girl in the car starts to fear when she sees how many dead are hanging from the trees by the road. Julian distracts her by having her look at him and work out a math problem. He discovers a hole in the car's roof as he is speaking. The automobile stops abruptly, and then it pauses before crashing into a tree. Julian exits the vehicle and makes a self-delete with some shattered glass. Returning to Elliot's group, they hear on the radio that the most recent idea involves contaminated water as they are leaving. They start plunging backward when they discover the route blocked by a group of bodies after they leave town and enter the countryside. But as they get to the crossroads, they see that there are also vehicles, including an army truck, coming from the other roadways. Every driver who has been on those roads reports that there are a lot of bodies obstructing the path, which means that the poison is all around them. When Elliot contacts Julian, he doesn't get through. Then, he discovers that Alma has missed calls from Joey. When he asks her who he is, Alma responds, "Nobody." Elliot believes the plant explanation could hold true after hearing from passengers in other cars that the incident always begins in parks. At that very time, a woman in Princeton manages to reach her daughter, who informs her that everyone in the town has passed away. Elliot can hear the wind entering the girl's chamber as the call concludes with the girl passing away unexpectedly. After that, Elliot comes to the conclusion that Julian is probably dead and has to break the news to Jess, helping her through her breakdown. Later, Elliot and an army private agree that they should stop driving as the attacks are taking place in densely populated regions. The throng splits into two groups, and they set out to traverse the surrounding countryside in search of a small, isolated town that may be secure because it is still under construction. Alma eventually tells Elliot about Joey as they stroll along. He was a colleague with whom she had supper while she was meant to be working late. Though nothing happened, she has remained aloof since she felt bad for lying. The bigger group freezes as the wind picks up speed. The soldier then retreats and self-destructs with his pistol. Elliot's tiny party can hear the pistol firing repeatedly, indicating that other people, including the nursery couple, are also using it to terminate their relationship. Elliot tells the small group to stop talking as they become agitated and apply scientific reasoning to evaluate the information he has so far and draw a conclusion. They should disperse into smaller groups because, although he believes the poison is being distributed by the plants, it is only activated by big gatherings of humans. This splits the group into three smaller ones, each of which starts sprinting in a separate direction. Despite their best efforts, Elliot, Alma, and Jess are quickly caught by the wind as they flee with two adolescent males. Fortunately, nothing occurs when their party stops sprinting to shield their faces from the wind. According to Elliot, this proves that group size matters. The party eventually locates the little village after much running, and they take refuge inside a phony mansion that is all for show. Elliot gently approaches a plant in a room and begs it to be kind to them before realizing that the plant is made of plastic and that he is a stupid person. They decide to go after taking a break in order to prevent other individuals from coming to hide here and igniting the poison. They observe two groups arriving and form a larger mob as they sprint up a hill, which causes them to stop in place. A single guy goes to start a commercial lawnmower, and in a matter of seconds, he is killed. After walking for hours, Elliot's gang comes upon a radio mounted on a fence. People are advised to get to the west borders so they may be picked up by the police, according to an emergency broadcast. The party eventually decides to stop when they come upon a boarded-up house because they are too hungry and exhausted to continue. While strolling, Elliot conjures up a false narrative about a clerk he showed interest in, which consoles Alma despite its falsity. When the gang knocks on the door of the residence, no one answers. They observe individuals moving inside just as they are about to use force to get in. Elliot politely requests assistance, but when the owner refuses, the teenagers become combative, swearing and shaking the boards on the windows. Exasperated, the owner shoots through the glass, instantly murdering the two adolescent guys. The group, terrified, takes off fleeing once more. In the meantime, survivors are seen acting in various ways in nearby buildings. Some are amassing as many firearms as they can, while others are wearing masks. A scientist is interviewed by a reporter on television, and he or she states that the assaults are becoming more severe by the hour and impacting fewer populations. Elliot's group discovers a house with no power and a well-traveled road shortly after, leading them to believe it is abandoned. But as they approach, they run across Mrs. Jones, who made the decision years ago to cut off all communication with the outside world. She consents to let them spend the night together and eat, but she wants them to keep the incident quiet since she doesn't want to know about it. Mrs. Jones is a peculiar woman who acts nice one moment and smacks Jess' hand for eating the cookies that she gave. Later that night, Elliot and Alma are whispering to one another as Jess is fast asleep. When Mrs. Jones hears them talking, she believes they are going to steal or kill her. When Elliot goes to see Mrs. Jones in the morning to tell her something, he is startled to discover a strange doll on her bed. As he approaches, Mrs. Jones emerges from behind him, accusing him of stealing and threatening to have him leave right now. After that, she heads to her garden, where an unexpected breeze causes Mrs. Jones to turn around and walk backward. When Elliot notices this, he runs to shut all the windows and doors, but Mrs. Jones continues to shatter glass until she passes away in a most agonizing way. Elliot dashes through the home in search of Alma and Jess as the wind picks up. He can hear them somehow, but he can't seem to find them. When he enters the cellar, he finds himself alone even though he believes he hears them. Actually, Alma and Jess are in an old stone spring house outdoors. A speaking tube joins the two structures. Elliot tells them with this tube that it appears that even a single individual may now trigger the poison. Elliot steps outdoors after exchanging a few pleasantries and recollections since he doesn't want to die by alone. Soon after, Alma and Jess also emerge, and as the wind swirls about them, they all clasp hands. But nothing occurs, and the three realize the event has finally come to an end as they head back to the house. After 3 months, Elliot and Alma are contentedly cohabiting and taking care of Jess. Elliot is ecstatic to hear that Alma is also expecting a child. A scientist clarifies on TV that the incident was most likely a warning from the planet to mankind that they are causing too much harm and that they should prepare for another strike shortly. Meanwhile, screams can be heard as the wind whips over individuals in a French park who are starting to freeze.